Hi, I'm Micah Metz with World Gospel Mission, and I'm here with Steve and Kelly Solheim in Honduras. And thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
So you guys both have had an interesting time of it in the past few months. Things in Honduras have been strict, to say the least, and your ministry has changed quite a bit in the ways that you've been able to reach out. Could you tell us more about that?
Sure. Typically, we work with young people in our community, at-risk youth. So when the shutdowns happened, schools closed, and those opportunities to work with those kids dried up overnight. And so one of the things that we've done in order to continue to be active in our community is partner with the city government, the mayor's office in particular, in distributing food and supplies to those who have no access. And that was our first project. Since then, we've continued to work with them on other projects, transportation, since public transportation is shut down, getting kids that need to get to doctor's appointments in other areas of the country, getting them to where they need to go, doing some education projects. So that has kind of expanded. It's not what we typically do. It's way outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah, we've also done some work in our neighborhood, working with our community, our neighbors right next door, just to make our neighborhood a nicer neighborhood during this time.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I know you mentioned when we were talking a little bit before this call that it's really hilly and mountainous where you are, and so your four-wheel truck comes in handy to help in the community.
Right.
There's several stories that have come out of that. If people check out your blog, that where you have been able to do things for people, that is really awesome. So that's a great blessing, just having a vehicle.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge blessing.
And I know he's presented a lot of opportunities for you guys in lots of different ways.
Well, food distribution has probably been our biggest ministry during this time, where we, took 3 tons of beans or 3 tons of rice and put them into 5-pound bags, so we could divide them out and distribute those to those who in need. And yeah, we've had other ministry opportunities. There's been several medical issues that have come up with different people. One's child had a broken arm. He walked 2 hours to the hospital only to get turned away. And we were able to help. The city was able to find a private clinic that could help him, and then we were able to drive him back home, so he didn't have to walk those 2 hours. And others where we drove a child with cancer to his treatments in a city that's 4 hours away from here.
I think we should mention too that we're not working alone. We're working with a team of people, working with the government, our city government, also with some pastors in our region have joined that group, and other missionaries, not necessarily WGM missionaries, but missionaries that we have met along our road that we have pulled in as well. And so we're collaborating and pooling our resources. So it's not just Steve and Kelly. It's a large group of people that are doing a lot for this community through this. Yeah. And one of those things was an education program that the city is putting together. And it's a group of nonprofits, and they included us in that, that are producing education materials on how to wash your hands, how to wear a face mask, and what coronavirus is and how to protect yourselves, which we're very used to, but people who live up in the mountains and in other parts of the country aren't hearing the same things we are. And so so I did some graphic design work with that, just from my expertise that I had before becoming a missionary. I was able to use those gifts to provide those resources for them. So
that's awesome. And I know it's a huge deal from what you guys had mentioned. The amount of, like, there was a lockdown and protests, and part of that is that people are living day to day, and it's critical that they're able to get the food they need, and it's a very important ministry and very vital and necessary right now to be part of. So just it's awesome that you have been able to. I know games and fun and youth ministry is your normal ministry before all this happened, but it's been cool to see how God has been able to use you both to connect you with community and pastors and a bigger people group that are ministering to the needs that are right now. But can you speak into kind of how you start your morning and what approach you guys have taken to ministry?
Yeah, I think what we've learned through this shutdown and through having to shift ministry focus is to hold loosely to plans. We do that anyway. We're pretty accustomed to that as missionaries. You never know what each day is going to bring. But we do have a very specific focus and what we feel like God has called us to Honduras to do. And things that don't fall into that bucket, we typically say no to. So if you had asked us last year if we would do a food distribution program, we probably would have said no, because that's not our focus. We would have maybe helped connect to other people that do have that focus, but we wouldn't have been involved. But what we've had to do during this shutdown is just hold loosely to ministry, that it's not ours, it's God's. And every morning we just wake up and say, okay, God, what do you have for us today? We're just going to say yes to whatever opportunities he opens for us to engage in the community. Sometimes that's really fun stuff like helping to build a playground or something like that. And sometimes it's really serious stuff like taking a kid with cancer to his chemotherapy in another city. But we just have approached it with open hands and just said, whatever opportunity you give us to serve through this, we're going to say yes to.
God is awesome. He's doing some cool stuff.
He is.
Yeah.
Thank you guys both so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
You
Thank
too,
you.
Micah.
We'll see you.